Democrats. Today is Wednesday, December 13th, and it's time for the Chair's Daily Live. Happy Wednesday. So today is Wednesday, the day after an election day. Last night was an election day all over the state. We had a special election down in Lawton, where Larry Bush was the Democratic candidate for Senate District 32. There were a lot of people, primarily Larry Bush, that put their heart and soul into that race. We had most of our sitting Democratic senators go down and knock doors personally. We had neighboring counties, most of Comanche County, McLean County, Cleveland County, that went in and helped. Young Democrats of Oklahoma, there were other people on the ground. All of these folks got behind the candidacy that was for Larry Bush. So first, I want to say thank you to Larry Bush for bravely putting your name on the ballot in a seat that was favored for Republicans by 19 points, 19.6 points. It was favored for Republicans. And so it's brave just to put your name on the ballot and say, I know that this is an uphill battle, but I'm willing to run. And so thank you to Larry Bush for braving it for us and giving us something to get behind. And then thank you for the folks who made phone calls, the folks who drove to Lawton and drove people around or knocked doors or helped to organize in all the different places that this campaign was organized. And thank you for all the Oklahomans who are paying attention to this race, because here's the deal. Larry did not come out on top in this race. We have yet another extremist going to Oklahoma City. But what Larry did and what his campaign did was he moved the needle. We had a higher participation rate in a special election than we have had in a while in that seat for Democrats. Additionally, we moved the needle. That seat favored Republicans by 19%. And so which would have meant that Larry should have lost by 20%, and he did not. He did not. He cut that deficit in half. He only lost by right around 10%. He cut that deficit in half. That moves the needle. So the next time a Republican is running in that seat, including the person who is going to Oklahoma City in this next legislative session, he will know that his seat isn't super safe. He will know that we are coming for that seat and that we covered ground. We learned how to organize statewide. We learned how to work together across all the lines. Cindy Munson, leader of the House Democrats, went down and knocked doors on the House side. So we had House folks, we had folks part of federations. We just had all kinds of folks who were working together in that election, and I am very happy for that. Now, I need you to take that energy and put it behind Reagan, Roth, and Edmond. We had a primary election last night between Reagan Roth and Paul Timmons. So I want to start out by saying thank you to Mr. Timmons for putting your name on the ballot and giving Democrats a choice. A lot of times, Democrats just have one person to choose from, where the Republicans will have 7 people running for an office. In this case, Democrats had a choice. So thank you to Mr. Timmons. And congratulations to Reagan Roth. But we need to take all of that energy that was spent in Lawton and redirect it to Edmond. We can't stop fighting. We can't stop fighting. And so here's another opportunity for us to add a Democrat to the legislature. I know that Edmond Democratic women are going to get behind Reagan Roth to make sure that we do that. But if you're from Lawton and you saw what happened, drive on up to Edmond. If you're from Norman and you contributed, we need your energy. Young Democrats, where you at? We need your energy in this race. That's what we need to do. We all need to look at every single race like we all have a stake, because we do. And by doing that in Lawton, we moved the needle by, we moved the needle by over 9 points, which is a win. Now, it doesn't add to the seat in the legislature, but it is a win. We have to just keep moving the needle, and it's not going to happen with one race, but to just keep moving the needle. That's how we eventually get more Democrats in the state house and in the state Senate. So thank you, Larry, and all the folks that helped Mr. Bush. Thank you, Paul Timmons, and all the folks who helped him. Now let's put our energy behind Reagan Roth and get her across the finish line. Now, in Oklahoma City, there was a vote on how to pay for a new arena. One, if they wanted a new arena, two, how to pay for it. It turned out that Oklahoma City is getting a new arena. I'm not going to argue the merits of who should pay and all that kind of stuff because the voters decided. The voters decided. And so I was going to move past this, but I'm not. City Councilor JoBeth Hammond, who lives in Oklahoma City and who is a voter, and who is an elected official, woke up this morning to somebody having vandalized the hallway and her door and the steps leading to her door, vandalizing, taunting her about the stadium. As a city councilor who was part of the conversations, who knew what was going on, she has a right to her opinion. She has a right to this, to express her opinion. That's what democracy is. Someone did not appreciate her expressing her opinion and thought that they needed to try and intimidate and bully her at her home. That is not okay. If you are friends with Councilor Hammond, if you see her out in public, just let her know that we stand with her and we support her, and that we do not believe that it is okay for folks to show up at her residence to try and threaten and intimidate her. It's not okay. You can vote differently than someone without making them feel unsafe. I don't know why politics, the stadium, which she doesn't get any more money, politics has gotten so personal and so ugly, but it has, and we can't act like it's not there. Speaking of personal and ugly politics, let's talk about our governor. He held a press conference today to announce his executive order to root out diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in college campuses. I hate that I have to say this, but I'm going to say it. A lot of people wonder, why do we still have affirmative action? Why do we need diversity and inclusion? Because of this kind of action. If it were happening normally, if it were happening naturally, we wouldn't need these programs, but it's not. It's not, and then it ain't. We need these programs because basically people who are like, no DEI, we're going to give everyone a chance. How do we know if we don't measure it? And I got to tell you, I have a hard time trusting this guy and his crony, the superintendent of public instruction, when they decry diversity, equity, inclusion, when they decide that it's just going to happen naturally. We've watched their behavior over the last few years. First of all, not very inclusive. Second of all, not transparent at all. So when we say that it's going to happen organically, it's going to happen naturally, we don't need an artificial system in there to measure it. How do we know? How will we know? And if folks are still feeling like they do not have equitable access, if they do not feel included when they show up in rooms and they're the only, we still need these systems. And I'm going to tell you, as someone who is the only in a lot of the rooms that I go into, as someone who feels like they're standing on the outside of a lot of the rooms that we go into, as someone who knows about it, knows where it is, but doesn't feel like I have an equal shot, I'm here to tell you that Oklahoma still has work to do with regards to diversity, equity, inclusion, no matter what our tribal attacking governor says. You don't get to attack a whole race of people on the regular, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then say, no, 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 I'm all about equity and inclusion and diversity. You don't get to say it. I mean, I guess you can say it, but you don't get to say it and have us believe you. So we must all make sure that the governor's office is aware that you can have all of the press conferences you want. You can say that we're all equal. Saying so doesn't make it so. Because if that were the case, you wouldn't be our governor. Because I will say it as many times as possible. He's not my governor. He's not my governor. He's not my governor. It doesn't change the fact that he was elected to be the governor of Oklahoma. So saying it doesn't make it so. Oklahoma needs diversity, equity, and inclusion programs because we haven't mastered it. And because the people in charge have proven that they can't be trusted to have honest, transparent conversations about inclusion. That's where we are. Got a lot of stuff. I think I should leave it there, though. You guys have a wonderful evening, and I'll be back here tomorrow at 4:15.